I'm Heather Sims, a Dallas area real estate broker, and today I want to answer a question I get all the time from sellers when I talk about home staging. Does home staging actually work? Or is it just one of those things you see on HGTV, right? They put a bowl of lemons on the counter, they fluff a few pillows, and somehow that's supposed to add like some amazing amount of money to your value, like $10,000 or something. And honestly, I understand the skepticism, especially with HGTV, which I kind of hate. But if you've lived in your home for years, maybe even decades, the idea of moving furniture around, removing family photos, decluttering closets, and changing things you've grown accustomed to can feel a little ridiculous and very uncomfortable. But here's the thing. The goal of staging isn't to impress you. The goal of staging is to impress buyers. And those are two very different things. One of the biggest mistakes sellers make is looking at their home through the eyes of a homeowner instead of through the eyes of a buyer. As homeowners, what do we see? We see things like memories. We see projects that we've completed. We see the marks on the wall where we've measured our kids' heights, right? We see our favorite chair, our favorite artwork, and the way we've lived in the home for years. But I got a message for you. Buyers don't see any of that. Buyers are walking through your home for about 20 minutes trying to decide whether they can picture themselves living there. That's it. That's all they're doing. And according to the National Association of Realtors, their most recent staging report, 83% of buyers' agents said staging helps buyers visualize a property as their future home. Think about that for a minute. The biggest hurdle isn't whether buyers like your house. The biggest hurdle is whether they can picture themselves living in it. And staging really does help bridge that gap. Now, when most people hear the word staging, they picture a completely vacant luxury home filled with rented furniture. And yes, that is one of the forms of staging, and I absolutely do advocate for that with vacant homes. Actually, all vacant homes, not just at the luxury category level. But that's not what I'm really talking about for most sellers. Most of the homes that I sell are occupied homes. The sellers are still living there. So staging is actually much more practical than people realize. It actually helps you get ready for showing your home. And sometimes it's super easy, like just rearranging furniture, removing items, removing furniture. Sometimes it's decluttering. Actually, a lot of times, most of the time it's decluttering. Sometimes it's taking down highly personal items. Sometimes it's helping define spaces so buyers can understand how a room should really function. And sometimes it's simply helping a seller see their home through a buyer's eyes. Because after you've lived somewhere for years, you stop noticing little things, right? You stop noticing that oversized lazy boy chair that's blocking a room. You stop noticing the collection of family photos that covers an entire wall. You stop noticing that every countertop in the house has become kind of a storage area or a landing pad for things. But buyers do notice, and they notice immediately. And here's why this matters even more today than it did a few years ago. Buyers shop online first. Buyers aren't driving around neighborhoods hoping to stumble across a house with a for sale sign in front, right? They're scrolling through photos, they're watching videos, they're looking at listings on their phones, and they're making those decisions of what they want to see in seconds. In many cases, buyers decide whether they want to see your home before they ever step foot inside it, right? That's why presentation matters so much. If your home doesn't photograph well, buyers may never schedule that showing, even if your criteria fits them. If they never schedule a showing, they certainly pretty much aren't making an offer, right? The National Association of Realtors also found that staging positively impacts buyer perception and may contribute to stronger offers and faster sales. Does that mean staging guarantees you'll get more money? No. Nothing in real estate is guaranteed, of course, right? The only guarantees in life are death and taxes, of course. But what staging does is it helps your home compete. And in today's market, competing well really matters. Buyers have a lot of choices, more choices than they've had in many, many years. So when they're comparing your home to 3 or 4 or 5 others online, you want your home to stand out. You want it to look as good as possible. And here's the thing to keep in mind that I always tell my sellers. Staging is not interior design. Those two things are very, very different. Interior design is making a home perfect for you, right? And the way that you want to live in it. Staging is making home appeal to the largest number of buyers possible. Sometimes those goals are actually exactly opposite. You may love that bright purple accent wall, but I'm here to tell you, most buyers will not. You may love displaying 30 years of family photographs, and I would too, but buyers find it distracting. You want them to fantasize about living in your home while they're looking at it and walking through it during a showing. They can't do that as easily or effectively if they're seeing 50 pictures of your family on the walls, right? They're not seeing pictures of themselves, they're seeing pictures of you. It's about creating a blank canvas enough that buyers can imagine their own life there. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why my brokerage provides complimentary occupied staging consultations. I've seen the difference that it makes. It's not because we're trying to create like a magazine photo shoot, which that would be lovely, but because we're trying to remove distractions. We're trying to highlight the home's strengths. We're trying to help buyers focus on the house itself and not the stuff inside. Now, if you're thinking, Heather, my house isn't perfect, good, that's fine. Hey, mine isn't either. Most houses aren't. And in fact, I'm not even sure I've ever seen a house that doesn't need some staging help. Staging isn't about perfection. It's about presentation. It's about helping buyers see what the house could be for them. At the end of the day, buyers aren't just buying square footage. They are buying a feeling. They're buying a lifestyle. They're buying a future version of themselves. And staging can really help them get there. So does home staging really work? The statistics say yes. The buyers say yes. And after years of helping sellers prepare their homes for market, my answer is absolutely yes. That is all I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'd love to see you next week on another edition of All Things Real Estate. And tell me below in the comments too, have you put your house on the market and had a staging service come in and home ready for sale by staging it? I'd love to hear what that process was like for you. Some sellers love it, some sellers hate it, and some are just a little bit in between. So I'd love to hear about your experience. And I would also love to see you next week on another edition of All Things Real Estate. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.
All things real estate and all things real estate.